Good overnight. Welcome on in to the overnight edition of From Day One. Our bell is waiting, and tonight, this might be the most interesting episode we've ever aired, or might be the most silent episode, as we're going to try to go all the way back to 1995. April 18th, 1995 to be precise. The original Coast to Coast AM. The original version. Tonight, Art Bell welcomes in the man we've had in the later versions, but his first appearance ever with Art, and that is Madman Markum in his Time Machine from April 18th, 1995. Hopefully, this episode will go without problems. However, as I said, this might become the most silent episode ever, because if whoever has the rights to this strikes it, this will become, after this little introduction, the most silent overnight episode of From Day One ever. So hopefully it's the former, not the latter. Here we go, from April 18th, 1995, Madman Markum and Art Bell.
You're listening to the best of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Tonight's program is a rebroadcast from April 18th, 1995. Please do not call.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening or good morning, as the case may be, across all these many time zones. And welcome to another edition of Coast to Coast AM, live talk radio throughout the nighttime. It's good to be here. We're going to do something a little different first. You may recall, I think it was the end of last week. Yes, it was, Saturday morning. I read you a story that was faxed to me by somebody in Columbia, Missouri, and I thought it incredible. The story is entitled, Kansas City Man Tries to Build Time Machine on Porch. Now, in case you don't remember the general tenure of the article, I'm going to remind you now. Kansas City Associated Press. When a Missouri factory worker set out to make a time machine on his back porch, the contraption he came up with was not completely off the mark, theoretically, according to scientists. With a high-voltage electrical transformer that Michael Markum had hooked up to two vertical metal rods would more likely have killed him or blown up his house than carried him into the past or future. Time travel, though enticingly possible in the mathematics of Einstein's theory of relativity, is not likely in the physical universe, they say. They go on, quote, it is a very interesting area, though. There are theoretical physicists working on those areas, and I will not say that it's total nonsense. This was according to the chairman at the physics department at the University of Missouri at Kansas City. But he went on, it's not something that you can demonstrate with batteries. And I guess that was Michael's problem. So are the Stanberry police, who say the voltage that Markum had diverted into the contraption caused power interruptions in and around the northwest Missouri town of about 1,300. Markum had connected the metal rods to the terminals of a transformer, one of 6 stolen from a utility company, in hopes of creating a large spark gap with ascending electrical arcs. Markum was arrested January 29th on a felony charge of stealing the transformers from a St. Joseph Light and Power generating station in King City. He pleaded guilty last month, was placed on 5 years probation. Police said the transformers had a capacity of 12 to 76,000 volts each, enough to easily cause electrocution or an explosion. Markum, who told police that he has 2 years of college-level electrical engineering, said he was building a time machine, but didn't have enough power for it. That's according to the Stanbury police chief, Tom Hampton. Hampton said, quote, "He's not nuts. He appears to be an intelligent person with a lack of common sense. Maybe." Hampton said Markum told officers he had not tried to enter the spark gap, and neither had anyone else. If anyone had, they probably would have been electrocuted, not transported in time. Presumably, he decided that if he got enough electricity together, he could build a time machine, because there is the concept that if you're going to do it, it's going to require an enormous amount of energy. So there it was, and you know me and these kinds of stories, and how I'm fascinated by time. So I set out to find young Mr. Markum, and I found him. It wasn't easy. I went through a couple of our affiliates, and then I just started going to phone directories and rooting about, and lo and behold, there was a new number, and it was Michael's, and I've got Michael here. And so I thought I would ask him, and I did a little earlier today, and we're going to go through it right now and find out exactly what it is Michael was trying to do. We'll get back to him in just a moment. Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Good. First of all, had you heard that story before?
About
yeah, the one I just read?
Yeah.
You've heard that, huh?
Yeah. It's like I'm collecting clippings on it now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
How old are you, Michael?
21.
21. Pretty young.
Yeah, very.
Now, let's go kind of back through the story like you and I did earlier today. This all began... Well, why did it... Well, that's a good question. I didn't even ask that. Why did this begin in the first place? What were you trying to do in the first place?
Originally, I just set out to make a fancy Jacob's ladder, and this was like what it turned out to be.
Right. A lot of people don't know what a Jacob's ladder is. Tell them what it is.
Simply, in a nutshell, it's like two metal rods with a spark going up in between it. And once it reaches the top, it starts back to the bottom again.
So, that kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Like from a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, that's where they got started at.
Okay, well, there are ways to do that. The Van de Graaff generator, for example. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
But you were going to do it with, well, actually, how were you going to do it? So you told me something about winding your own transformer?
Yeah, that's what I originally did, and it's like it was like real touchy, and what I did was I used a laser, modified CD laser for it.
Well, let's stay with the transformer for a moment. Yeah. How did you wind this transformer? How did you do that?
Oh, well, it's pretty simple, really. Just take these metal plates and glue them together.
Glue them together, yeah.
Yeah, and in the simplest transformers, there's two coils, your primary and your secondary.
Right.
And
is it like making a giant ball of string or something? In other words, you just keep winding and winding and winding it around?
Yeah. Well, there's like technical things, but simply put, it's like your primary coil will have like maybe 400 turns, or it depends on how many watts you want to make it do.
Right.
Let's say it's 400 turns in your primary, and there's 4,000 turns in your secondary.
Mm-hmm.
10 times the turns, and then you'll get 10 times the voltage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you is that about what you did? 400 and 4,000?
Well, the small transformer had to change the 100. I don't know how many turns. I lost count. I never bothered to count the second. About 450 turns in the primary.
So you just kept winding.
Yeah, until it got roughly 20,000 volts.
20,000 volts?
Yeah.
So you went from 110 to 20,000?
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly. All right. Without, I take it, very much current.
Well, actually quite a bit. About roughly, it was about 3. It was drawing about 3,000 watts. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was. Let's see. It was probably about 10th of an amp.
10th of an amp. All right. Well,
that's considered amount when it's 20,000 volts behind it.
Oh yeah, that'll knock you right on your butt.
Oh yeah.
So then you did this, you built this thing, and you had the arc, and you were able to achieve the arc, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, so here you have this beautiful arc going, and, or was it not quite going the way you wanted it to?
Well, it was like a little bit touchy. It was like kind of touchy, because it's like the bar at the bottom of the metal rods.
Right.
Where the spark starts, if they're too close together, the spark will stick. But if they're too far apart, it won't arc at all. So and it's like it was like real touchy. If I moved a fraction of a millimeter, the thing stuck, and if I moved it too far apart, it didn't do anything. So what I set out to do was use a laser, use the heat from a laser
to get it started, or
yeah, get it going by itself.
I see. The heat from a laser. That's interesting. So it would the heat from a laser would attract the spark, sort of? Well,
yeah, in a way, the heat from the laser lowers the resistance to the air is what it does.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you got this laser by, how'd you get the laser?
Well, I practically made it from scratch. I took a CD laser and redid all the electronics in it, kind of like reinforcing it, you'd say.
A CD laser. So you tore apart a CD player.
Yeah.
and so then you got the laser. Did it do what you wanted it to do? Start the spark?
Yeah, it's like had some other effects I didn't expect.
Well, and therein lies the story. Other effects you didn't expect, like what?
Well, it's like there's that spark's pretty hot, so you won't have a heat signature right above it. But
you mean kind of like a hazy glow or something?
Well, kind of like wavy. If you ever take a lighter and look right above it, you'll see see the heat from it.
That's right.
It's like real faint. But now I was expecting. I know that it was going to be probably an extra like a bigger heat signature from the laser, but this one was strange, almost right above it. It was like the regular heat signature, but it was almost circular shaped in the center.
Sort of like a glow.
Not really a glow. It's like if you don't really look at it, you can't see it. It's like normal. No.
Is it like when you're out in the desert in the middle of summer and you see the shimmering coming off a road?
Yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah, but it's like, and normally those are just wavy lines straight up and down, kind of.
Right.
But this one had the straight up and down ones. They were it's kind of like circular shaped in the center.
Huh.
And I didn't know at first I didn't know what it was. I'm not 100% certain now. That's what I'm working on now, trying to.
Wait a minute now, wait a minute. You're back at this again?
Huh?
You're back at this again, are you?
Yeah, I'm just picking up where I left off, but this time I'm not doing anything illegal.
Now, we'll get to that. When I called you earlier today, you said, gee, it's you caught me or something. I just got out of jail. I got
out of jail I got out of jail March 30th.
March 30th. Well, that's pretty much just out of jail.
Yeah.
And you're able to do this program tonight because you are more or less not employed.
Yeah, I got all kinds of free time right now.
Were you employed, Michael, back when you got in trouble?
When I was arrested, yeah, I was.
So
In fact, I was like supposed to go to work the next day.
So in
I got arrested.
So in other words, this cost you your job?
In a way, because there's like other things branching off this, but my boss thought I contaminated his plant with PCBs, but that's another story.
I guess from the Transformers, huh?
Yeah, because one of the Transformers that...
Well, wait a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back. We're with your first small contraption. That's all I can think of to call it. And you told me something about throwing a bolt or a screw or something.
Yeah, sheet metal screw. See, I didn't know what this thing was, and it was like, I don't know, I just got the notion to throw a screw in it to see, like, what it did. Because I never saw anything like that before. And kind of like testing it.
Yeah, a screw, I guess, would be as good as anything else.
Yeah.
Mine might do that, too. All right, so you threw a screw into the...
Circular thing. Yeah.
Circular area.
Yeah, it's like I've talked to a couple of physicists. They call it a vortex, but...
All right, you threw it into what we'll call the vortex.
Yeah.
All right, what happened to the screw?
Well, I had this thing sitting on a table, right?
Yeah.
And I threw it in there, and I didn't see it after that.
It disappeared?
Yeah, roughly. I did it 3 times. It's like my laser burned up, so I knew it'd do that. I just didn't think it'd do it so quick. But
so it probably provided such a high SWR, it's called, standing wave ratio to the laser that it burned it up?
Yeah, because I kind of I knew it. It's like pushing that farther than it was designed for is what it was.
Mm-hmm. But you're telling me this thing disappeared?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. It did one of 2 things. It went half a second into the future, and then I caught up with it, or I made like a real intense magnetic field. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
All right, this is fascinating, Michael. It really is, because there are aspects of what you have done that are very much like... I've interviewed the people who did the Philadelphia experiment, Michael.
Yeah, that's what the Montauk Project is.
Yeah, and you're messing with the same sort of stuff. You're messing with the same sort of stuff. Oh, well, anyway, all right, so continue with the story. You got this, it disappeared, you blew up your laser, and then you sat there thinking, wow, I did something different here.
Yeah, it's like it freaked me out. It's like at first I thought I was seeing things, but...
So what did you do, go away and think about it for a day or 2 or a week, or when did you finally get this brilliant light bulb of an idea to build a larger unit?
Well, it's like a half a second is not very much. But I figured if I make a bigger one, it'd send it farther. That way I could really tell if it's really if I was sending it through time or if I was just sending it through an intense magnetic field.
Well, right. But what I mean is, how long did you think about whether you wanted to build did it occur to you right away when you blew up your little one, I'm going to build a bigger one?
Well, first I was like, after that thing burned out, after all the smoke cleared.
Smoke?
Yeah.
In other words, there was sort of a reaction to the screw.
Well, no, where the laser did. When I say the laser burned up, it literally caught fire.
It literally caught fire. Okay.
The electronics.
Caught fire.
Yeah.
That's bad. Well, all right. So your equipment was smoldering.
Yeah. And it's like I was thinking about just rebuilding the laser, because the basic part of the laser's fine, but the part of the electronics, they were totally ruined. And I was thinking,
just rebuild the electronics and try it again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about doing. But I figured because basically I almost have to start from scratch except building the transformer.
Mm-hmm.
But so I figured I'd make just a bigger version of what I did.
So, wanting a big transformer, You needed a lot of voltage to do this, right?
Yeah. 2,000 volts of arc, but it's like 2,000 volts. That's like very touchy.
And 10,000 or 20,000 volts really arcs.
Yeah. Well, it's wattage to make it arc. A welder will arc when it's only like 10 volts because there's so much amperage behind it. But
that's right. Mm-hmm.
But you have to like get it real close. It's like at 2,000 volts, it has to be within like half the bottom. The space between the rods at the bottom has to be like half a millimeter apart for an arc.
How far apart were your two rods on the first small machine you built?
About 2 inches.
2 inches. Oh, that's pretty good space.
Yeah.
So then it dawns on you, let's build a big one.
Yeah.
So now, I didn't ask you about this earlier, but in order to get enough voltage and current, you needed a big transformer. Now, it's true the power company has big transformers.
Yeah.
Really nice ones.
Yeah.
And how did it dawn on you to, what's the word we should use, borrow one of the, or several of the power company's transformers?
How I get the idea for it?
Yeah, I mean, you knew you needed a transformer. How did it occur to you?
Well, originally what I was going to do I was originally going to buy them. There's a transformer company in Kansas City that makes them for the power company. And
well, there was an idea.
Yeah, but it's I could have saved my money and bought those, but those are expensive.
How much is a transformer? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I'll give you an idea. When I buy them from the factory, I buy them at wholesale. But the St. Joseph Light and Power, the power company I stole them from, they valued the 6 transformers I took. They valued them at $13,600.
Oh my! So that's not shoplifting. All right, Michael, hold on a moment. We've got a little business to do here, and we'll get right back to you. My guest is a very unusual person. My guest is Michael Markum, and he's in the business of building a time machine, and now he's going to go to work on it again. Wow. Michael Markum, back with us in just a moment with more about time travel.
rebroadcast of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Tonight's show originally aired on April 18th, 1995. Please do not call.
All right, we'll get to the phones. Be patient with me. We're talking to Michael Markum. Maybe some might be tempted to call him Madman Markum. God, I love this music. Back now to Michael. Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
They don't call you Madman Markum, do they?
I haven't been called that yet.
I just made that up, Michael. Don't let it bother you. All right, so here we are, wanting now to build our big... At this point, what were you calling it, by the way? Obviously, it was no little entertainment thing anymore.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure what this thing was. It was either a intense magnetic field or some sort of time machine.
Well, actually, it would have been a combination of electrical and a magnetic field, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, plans got big. You decided you wanted to build a great big one. So, according to the story, you had two big poles on your porch. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3/8-inch metal rods.
Really? How big?
You mean how long?
Yeah.
Roughly 4 feet.
Oh, that would have made a big spark.
Yeah.
Big spark. And so you had the rods, and you needed the transformers desperately.
Yeah.
You probably could have saved up for it, but you didn't. You made a mistake.
Yeah.
And you...
In a hurry.
So what did you do? Did you sneak into their yard?
Oh, you mean
In other words, how'd you get the transformers? And you didn't heist them off a pole, of course.
Oh, heck no. They were noticed immediately. They were gone then. These were just sitting by the substation in King City.
Just sitting there.
They were just sitting. Yeah, they've been sitting there for ever since I moved to Missouri. So
you hated to see them languishing without use.
yeah, well, they were just sitting there rusting, and heck, they don't even use them. Heck, in fact, right now they just got them put away for safekeeping. They say so.
Probably historical record.
Yeah, now.
So anyway, what did you do? Take a pickup truck? Those things are heavy, aren't they?
The biggest one I had weighed 350 pounds.
Ooh, well, you must have had an accomplice.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Couple of them?
Yeah, I haven't talked to them. Their court date was the same as mine, and they didn't look too happy with me. So.
I'm sure they weren't.
No.
So anyway, somehow you talked them into helping you out in this venture.
Yeah.
And you snuck down there, no doubt, late at night.
Well, it was right in broad daylight.
Broad daylight?
Yeah, roughly 11 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And so in broad daylight, you took the transformers, loaded them up in a pickup truck, I guess?
Yeah.
And hauled them to your house.
Yeah.
I see. And you had how many of them?
6.
Why 6, Michael?
Well,
I mean, why did you feel you needed 6?
Well, originally I was just going to take a couple of them, but it's like
You got carried away.
Yeah, pretty much.
I see. All right. So you got the transformers to your house, and then you, I guess, hooked up the secondary. No, it would have been the primary of the transformer to the poles, correct?
Yeah, basically I just hooked it backwards.
Yeah, that's right, backwards. So the primary was hooked to the poles. The secondary, you hooked up to the power coming into your home?
Yeah.
What happened when you did that, by the way?
Well, I didn't get to the big version of it. I didn't get the laser part yet. I was going to order that from New Jersey.
Had you produced a large spark with it?
Yeah. That's another thing too. Before I was like arrested on the 30th, and then on February 3rd, I was going to pick up like 60 feet worth of cable so I could reinforce the cable to my house. So.
You mean actually coming in from the pole?
Yeah.
What were you going to do? Climb the pole?
Pretty much.
Oh, Michael.
Because I figured if I called the power company and had them reinforce the cable to my house, I'd like draw suspicion. So.
Well, I'm sure it would. Yes, it would. It would want to know why.
Yeah, why I need a cable that carries 2,000 amps instead of the usual 200.
Now, so you nevertheless hooked it up and you turned it on, didn't you?
Yeah, I hooked up the smallest one that I could hook up without, like, overloading the cable and causing fire.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, it's pretty, just that in itself is just like a giant Jacob ladder. Like a...
How far apart were you able to get these poles and still produce the spark?
About 18 inches.
18 inches?
Yeah, the smallest one I had, it was changed 240 to 12,470.
12,470. So when you did this, according to the newspaper, you blacked out or browned out portions of your whole town. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was like overloading the power grid because I was drawing more power than I thought it was.
Well, what got you caught? Was that what got you caught?
No, in a nutshell, a friend of mine was at my house. Well,
somebody squealed on you.
I don't know what happened, but exactly, and I probably never know. That's in the past. I ain't really worried about that now. But what happened was a friend of mine, like from my house, shot a BB gun, like shot my next door neighbor's sliding glass door window.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I got the cops snooping around. So.
And they just happened to see this incredible rig on your porch.
No, they came. That happened at roughly. I can't remember. This was back in the end of January. That happened around noon or 1 o'clock or something like that. And they came by with a search warrant at 11 o'clock at night.
So obviously they had seen it then, and they decided.
Well, they'd never been in the house.
Right, but they didn't have to be to see the porch, did they?
Well, it was like the porch was closed in, and all the windows were boarded up.
Oh, I see.
Like stuff like that, like gotta keep out of sight.
Could it be? I guess, Michael, when you started a big gap, an 18-inch gap like that, it would have created an intense white light.
Well, let's see, it was a 5,000 watt spark, so it was.
It would have been very intense, and
it's like
maybe from your neighbor's perspective, Michael, they would hear this, and their lights would dim, and they'd look over at your porch, and they'd see this white light streaming out from all the little cracks and places, and they'd get worried. Could that be?
That's a possibility.
All right.
So the main thing they were like, it's like there was like a. That's the reason. That's one of the reasons I moved from Stanbury, because half that town wants my head on a pole. I have the feeling.
You mean they don't like you now?
Well, it's like I don't know if this is just another unfounded rumor or not, but like a lot of those people's television sets are ruined and stuff like that because I was like drawing so much power, and it's like normally it's between 110 and 120 volt outlet. Well, it's like they were estimating. This is what I've heard. I don't know if it's a fact or not, but they were estimating I was like bringing it down to like 80 volts, 80, 90 volts.
That is damaging to electronic gear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people in town with appliances that now are door stops, they're probably not happy with you.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of it is just like lights would flicker, like dim real bad and stuff like that. But evidently, the people that were just happening to be watching TV when I operated it, they operated that thing at night too. So
yes,
that way, not a whole lot of people are like. I had to see at first when I hooked this thing up, I thought it was a 5,000 watt spark. I figured it'd be these transformers ain't as efficient as I first thought they would be. Yeah, well. It was like drawing a heck of a lot more than I thought.
A lot more current?
Yeah.
You weren't going to walk into the middle of that spark gap, were you?
No. I was like, made the big version if it did the same thing. I was like going to throw something else for it, like not something that's like
Something a little bigger than a screw to disappear, maybe.
Yeah, like maybe an orange or something like that. And if it came out like in one piece without getting fried to crisp,
then you would have walked in?
Well, there's other things too. It's like the Philadelphia experiment. People were from what I've heard, people were
buried in the deck.
Yeah, embedded in walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you can't tell where you're coming back out.
Yeah, because you lose your time lock. But
would you have eventually done it if the orange came out okay, and then maybe you tossed a cat in or something? The cat came out. I
don't want to say that, but I figured.
You were going to toss a cat in.
Well, if everything else came out all right, like totally unscathed.
Then the cat would have gone in.
I'd probably try something that was alive and small, like a grasshopper or something like that.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Before the cat.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, hold on. We'll be right back to you. We're going to find out what he's experimenting with right now, and I may take a couple calls here. All right, Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Good. Michael, now you're a free man again, out of the pokey, and ready to begin experiments I've just learned all over again. You're going to do this again, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Well, you don't give up easily, I'll say that for you.
Nope.
By the way, what did everybody think of you when you were in jail? I assume you told them this story.
Well, until the media started taking it seriously, everybody thought I was a nutcase.
Mm-hmm. You sound sane to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
A little on the wild side, but sane. Anyway, so what are you going to do now? How are you going to rebuild it, in other words?
Right now I'm just basically saving my money and do what I originally set out to do, buy them.
You going to buy the transformers?
Yep.
What would be the legality of your using them if you bought them? Would that be perfectly legal?
Should be. I mean, as long as I don't might get into EPA violations if I take them apart and get oil all over the place and stuff like that. But as long as I don't do anything like that.
You mentioned you lost your job. How did your employer think you polluted his workplace with PCPs? I mean, you had not taken these apart, right?
Well, one of them I couldn't use, and I didn't really want to take it back there and get caught taking it back. So figured I might as well strip the copper out of it and sell the copper.
So you took it apart.
Yeah, and I didn't really just dump it on the porch. That was kind of like an accident, but I was taking the oil and putting it in a plastic waste basket. So it's this was like only a 3,000 watt transformer. That's pretty small for a pole, utility pole, but it weighs like 150 pounds, and I was the only one doing it, and my finger slipped, and I ended up dropping it and dumping 10 gallons of oil all over the back porch.
Oops.
Yeah, and anyway, ended up getting it all over me too because it splattered, and evidently anyhow, it was got all the back porch. Well, anyhow, the shoes that I was wearing at the time are also the shoes I wear to work. And he thought I tracked PCBs into where he used to work. He thought I tracked them into his plant. Tracked PCBs in his plant.
I see. So that was the end of your job.
Well, he didn't really say that, but I have that feeling. Because he asked me who and all was in my house, who and all was around those transformers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Has the EPA knocked on your door yet, Michael?
No. It turns out it turns out the transformer I took apart. I tried telling them that they wouldn't take my word for it. The transformer I took apart is too old. It was darn old. It was too old. There was 4 PCBs were around. It turned out just to be plain old crude oil.
Oh, I'm sure you were personally relieved a little about that.
Well, it's I was almost certain that was all it was, because I'll put it this way: the last time that the transformer was even checked was in 1924. So
I see. Well, so you're going to try this again. You're going to save up money, buy the stuff, and try it again. Are you going to do it on the big scale the way you did last time?
Yeah, pretty much. So there's, right now,
Going to be on your back porch?
I'm living in an apartment right now, and yeah, I'm on the 3rd floor too, so I'll probably move before I do that.
That might be good.
Yeah.
That might be good. That might not go well in an apartment.
Yeah. Plus the power that's going to my apartment is only 10,000 watts. So if I draw more than that, I'll overload the transformer and blow it.
Just a theoretical question for you. Let's say that you produced a time machine, Michael, and you actually managed to go either forward or reverse in time. What would you use it for?
The time machine? Heck, there's possibilities are endless. Pretty much.
Yeah, I guess they are. I guess I'm asking, Michael, would you use it to make money?
That'd be one of the things I do. It wouldn't be the only thing I do. I mean, give an example. Right now there's like an AIDS plague, kind of like a 20th century Black Death.
That's right.
You know, so I don't know exactly when they're going to have like a vaccine for AIDS or anything like that,
but you might try to bring one back.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Michael, let me...
with cancer and stuff like that.
Well, it's true. It is true. Let me bring a caller on and see... Every line is lit up here, and I'm curious what the audience has to say about this. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum.
Yes, hi, this is Maureen from Redding, California.
Yes.
Hi. Unless I'm misunderstanding your guest there and yourself, I am just really blown away by exactly what you have been talking about, because I've always been real impressed with you, Art, as far as I've always thought you as to be a person of high intelligence, what have you. Your guests you've had on your show in the past, I've always been impressed with that. But this has got to be the lamest thing I've ever heard in my life.
You don't believe it?
Well, it's basically let's teach somebody how to make an atomic bomb, what have you.
What do you think about that, Michael? How do you feel about that? Would you build an atomic bomb if you could?
Build an atomic bomb? No, I doubt it.
See, he wouldn't go for an atomic bomb, man. He's talking about time travel. Now, what's so bad about that?
Well,
I mean, do you think it's dangerous or what?
No, well, I think it's just very dangerous as far as I'm sure some of the listeners that you have.
Okay. Maybe this will help. Man. Listen, everybody. Do not try this at home.
Well, see, basically, you're going step by step by step.
That's right. We absolutely are. That's right.
Why are you doing that?
Well, why do you think? Are you worried that somebody's going to do this at home and fry themselves?
Of course. There's idiots out there in the world.
Well, yeah, but ma'am, there are people. I could interview somebody who walked off a cliff. Do you think that would mean that my listeners would walk off a cliff?
I really doubt you would have a guest on there who would try to walk off a cliff. I have always looked at you.
But what I'm saying is,
you have always been a person. I really admire you, Art Bell.
Now you're disappointed.
And I enjoy your show, and you're a very intelligent human being. And I'm totally blown away that you would have somebody such as the guest you have on tonight.
Why?
And I'm sorry if I'm...
Well, the question is why?
Because of the subject that you are discussing,
Yes.
Basically, there are adults out there in this world who have a child like mine who will be ignorant enough to try this kind of thing at home.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Michael?
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you over a little bit. This is too much fun. Now, tell him, Michael, say, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Thank you, Michael. Stand by. We're going to do a little news, and we'll be right back.
This is the best of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Tonight's show originally aired on April 18th, 1995. Please do not call.
Good morning. I have a guest, and his name is Michael Markum. Affectionately, we'll call him Madman Markum. And he's in Missouri. I think he's in Missouri. And Michael, I read the story last week. And I'm not going to go through it again, but it's entitled Kansas City Man Tries to Build Time Machine on Porch. Now, long story short, he built a small, wasn't supposed to be a time machine to begin with. It was just supposed to produce an arc and be cool. And his small model, which he used a laser from a CD, to cause the spark to begin to move up Jacob's ladder. That's what it's called, Jacob's ladder. When he got it all going, he noticed a very strange, sort of shimmery effect above the arc, and he threw a screw into it, common screw, and the screw disappeared. Well, now we're into something else. So our hero, Michael, went over to the power company and stole 6 power transformers, which he then hooked up to his line at home and made a giant model on his back porch using 2 gigantic poles, about 4 feet high. And he got himself a big Jacob's ladder. He also ruined a number of appliances, browned out most of the town that he lives in, and that, of course, is where the police entered the picture and appropriated Michael's transformers. He lost his job. He went to jail. He's recently out. I somehow found him yesterday. We've been interviewing him for an hour, and we will continue to do so in a moment. Every line is jam-packed full, so a lot of people want to talk to Michael. A couple of faxes that have come in. Here's one. Art, all my life, I've been reading books and collections of unsolved mysteries and events. Several times I've come across a story about archaeologists discovering a perfectly machined, completely modern sheet metal screw. This screw was embedded in a piece of quartz that is at least 10 million years old. This has always been a totally unexplainable, unsolved mystery until tonight. Dave in New Brownville, Texas. Then this, Great Joe Art, if time travel is possible, be aware the Earth, solar system, and universe are traveling thousands of miles per hour. If Michael's screws traveled through time, they'd be far from here in space. That's from Albany, Oregon. And this, I'm going to fax a diagram to you, basically what your guest is talking about, except that it will not work with electrical energy. A massive power source, such as your guest is speaking about, would create something that is more than anyone at this time would want to deal with. This system was being played with in Colorado without getting into names using low-frequency EMF. This, hey Art, I think the time machine idea is interesting, but did the bolt come back exactly the same? Was the bolt analyzed to see if the material had changed at all? And on and on and on. I've got a whole pile of faxes here. Michael, did anybody analyze the bolt?
No. I was, just by looking at it, it weighed the same, it looked the same, it looks exactly the way it did before I threw it in.
So the bolt literally disappeared from view. I mean, when you threw it in and it went into the field, Michael, it, in other words, it disappeared. When it came back, was it still suspended in air, and then did it drop down, or what?
Well, like I said, this thing was like sitting on a table, right? Normally, when you like throw something, it'll like follow a parabola and land.
That's right.
I didn't see it like go through the air. I just saw it appear on the table.
Wow. So, in other words, you threw it, and in midair, it literally disappeared. And when next you saw it, it was laying on the table.
Yeah, and I did that 3 times because I figured, well, maybe I'd like miss seeing it like go through the air.
And the third time you did it, I take it that's when your laser blew up.
Yeah. I was like going through that several times. I was like going to like turn it off, borrow a camcorder, and get it on tape.
Oh boy, I wish you'd done that.
Yeah, but
sure you do too.
Yeah.
These are always things though that you think about later. Let's keep perusing the phone lines here and see what people have to say about us. It's really interesting. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum. Hi.
Hi, this is Stanbury, Missouri.
Are you
Enlisting officer?
Oh, you are the.
Tom Hampton.
Hi, Mike. How you doing, boy?
Hey, you still got my diary, don't you?
You bet. Sit here on the desk.
You are the arresting officer?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be darned.
Wow.
It's great to meet you. I don't know if it's great for Michael. Are you guys friends?
Well, are we friends, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, listen, maybe, officer, you can give us all of this from your perspective. What did you find when you arrived at Michael's house?
Well, we knocked on the door. There was 8 of us in a CERT team.
8 of you?
Yes. There's one officer in Stanbury, and we had county deputies and Missouri Highway Patrol.
Let me back up a little, officer. You got a search warrant.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, because you suspected something was going on. What was the basis of the warrant? What did you think was going on there?
We had received information that Michael had these transformers in his residence, and that they had been stolen. And after checking with my local utility, which we have our own utility service here in Stanbury, we found out they weren't from here. We checked with St. Light and Power out of King City. And the man didn't know they were gone until we called him. And that's where we found out they were stolen, and we had, with the information we had, it gave us enough information to go ahead and get the search warrant.
So you got access to the resident with a warrant, and look, what did you find?
Well, we found Michael asleep. So we had to wake him up. And we found the transformer he'd made into a piggy bank in the, I guess you'd call it a dining room. On the back porch was the transformer that he'd used to make his Jacob's ladder. And then there were 4 more transformers in a secondary bedroom.
Uh-huh. And so then off Michael went to the pokey, I presume.
Yes, went to the, as we call it, the Albany Hilton. In jail.
Well, this is quite an incredible story. How did you feel that, I mean, did you think you were dealing with a madman or what?
No, I had met Mike, I guess by the second day after he came into the state on another search warrant deal.
I see.
And talked to him just a little bit that day. He appeared to be an intelligent person. What I considered above average intelligence on some things. And then he was here in Stanbury. I had calls because people didn't know who he was, a stranger from out of town.
He says he's not particularly welcome in that town now, that a number of people feel as though their appliances may have gone belly up because of his experiments.
Well, I haven't personally had any comments of that nature. I did hear your earlier part of your broadcast where you found out the majority of town, which was not right. It was just a small section, approximately 2 blocks, where we had a little problem where the lights would flicker and brown out a little bit.
Had this been occurring frequently?
No, it actually had. It happened a few times, and it quit happening. We found out from Mike that he moved his experiment to later at night when people wouldn't notice it.
Wise decision. This is quite a story, officer. I'm absolutely glad you called. Michael, is there anything you'd like to ask him, or the other way around?
Think about it, Mark.
Are you suggesting that Michael should not proceed to try this again?
I personally wouldn't, because of all the hazards involved. Electricity is a very dangerous toy.
Indeed.
And it's just one slip and it's your last step. I wouldn't do it.
Well,
I did like his electric cigarette lighter he had. You might have him explain that to you.
His electrical cigarette lighter?
Yes.
All right, officer.
The one I made out of the microwave?
Yeah.
Officer, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you calling the arresting officer in the case. Wow. All right, Michael, what about your cigarette lighter? What's this?
Heck, I got it. I still got it now, but basically I turned my microwave. It's still a microwave, but I made a cigarette lighter out of it too.
Out of what?
My microwave.
Your microwave oven?
Yeah. There's like a transformer inside that, and basically.
You like transformers, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, it's kind of like I guess you call it a hobby. That's like I've always been interested in it. That's like I've always been interested. Heck, I've been interested in this thing since I was like 12 or 13. So.
You know, there were physicists in this article who commented that you were actually more or less on the right track. I mean, they sort of, even though they didn't think you should be doing it, they more or less endorsed the direction you were going in with regard to time travel.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of with you. I mean, I know the young lady and the officer are saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
But
well, they're afraid I'm going like turn myself into fried bacon or something.
Well, of course, and you may.
Yeah.
You may. I mean, there is that risk, isn't there?
Yeah, because with high voltage, you don't have to touch it. You just get too close to it, and you're a goner.
You get in the corona, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
And that's actually what you were talking about doing ultimately, getting in that corona.
Yeah.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum. Hello.
Armeister Sky.
Yes.
In New Orleans.
New Orleans, yes.
Yes, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, first off, I think I'd like to party with you, dude. What I like about me is asking two of my favorite questions of all time. What if we try this, and also why not?
It really is true. And with a comment of the physicist here in the article, I mean, I really do understand his investigative, curious mind. I'm very much the same way.
Right, because anything's possible unless it's already been proven physically not to be possible. But just a couple comments and then one question. One, I hope you take in and leaving very good notes, because, you know, you may send yourself into the wild blue yonder.
Yeah.
And someone can maybe pick up where you left off, even though we wish they would miss you.
Yeah.
And next thing is, if you do see yourself making progress, I'm sure you'll be taking everything, you know, wisely and step by step. Do not let any kind of big company, bureaucracy, or anything horn in or try and get in on a piece of the action, because you know what that'll end up being like. Just like everything else, it'll be totally taken away from your control, and you'll just be more or less cast to the wayside.
Yeah, that's like what I'm worried about right now.
Yeah. I would just move carefully before you make any decision or any step, because I've got, you know, some government experience. And just take a very careful step. Don't ever jump into anything.
Yeah.
And my last question is, next time you, I guess that vortex, I guess for lack of better words, it doesn't sound like exactly what it was, but anyway.
Best way to describe it.
Yeah, because, well, anyway, you know what a vortex is. What about a digital stopwatch, you know, measuring into the hundredths of a second at least? You know, chunking that through.
There's an interesting idea. Thank you, sir. He's saying throwing a stopwatch through. Now, that is interesting, Michael.
And we'll leave it there. You'll have to come back tomorrow to see more on Man Markum and Art Bell from the original Coast to Coast AM. That is, as long as this episode wasn't the silent killer? If it was, then we'll just move on to a new topic, and we'll only have one silent show. Till then, like, share, and subscribe, be kind to one another, and release the Krakens as we march along this overnight and every overnight here from day one. Have a great night's sleep. We'll see you tomorrow.